So we're on day 13 now, walking the Hexatetraglyph. That's about halfway through this journey. If you're new here, this device in front of me is an oracle board that's designed based on the structure of the I Ching. You start in the center of the board, you walk on a branching pathway outwards until you reach one of 64 destinations. Each of them represents a hexagram of the I Ching. There's a very logical, methodical pattern that you can study and see how it works. It takes 27 days to make this journey. And in the first video of this series, I go over most of the basics. So if you're interested, go back and take a look at that, and then you can catch up with where we're at. But this is our experiment. And I don't know what I got on my board. And we're about halfway done. It's been a challenge. I'm grateful for it. I think it's functioning just as good as I hoped that it would. Tomorrow I've decided to take a day to create a review. I'd like to just create a review. Now the moon goes through the whole 12 signs, the whole zodiac, in 27.3 days. Some systems they look at the cycle as 27 days, and some systems look at it as 28. So if I take a day off, call it a day off, I'm going to still film, but I'm not gonna travel tomorrow on the board. I'm just gonna film and make a review. If I take a day off, I still stay in the cycle of the moon. So that's a way to align this process with the 28 days if you'd rather it be 28. For me, it doesn't make a difference. I think most people would like to probably have a day off somewhere in there, so you can always plan that in if you're planning on doing a full pilgrimage on the Hexatetraglyph. All right, with that said, let's draw a couple planets. Same as yesterday. The sun and the moon. So the sun is still in Leo, and the moon has moved into Leo now. We're on position M on our second pathway. We completed the first pathway in the yin direction. So our first line of our hexagram will be yin. And now we're on position 13. Position M on the left will be for our yin planet, which I'm going with the moon on that. And our yang planet will be on the right. It's my own subjective decision. Categorizing the planets is up to you. There's no wrong answer. All right, and that moon is always here. So I actually am going to choose the moon today. Not because I feel like there's a mandate to do so, but the moon in Leo, that's interesting. I see the moon and the sun there together. So over the last couple days, I've been referring to alchemy. It's been somewhat of an alchemical transformative process. We were dealing with the moon in Cancer, and then we went with the sun in Leo, and now I'm the moon in Leo. So if we have been going through the stages, the operations of alchemy that we could maybe call solutio or dissolution, the melting down process and dissolving things into a solution, and then using the sun in sort of I'm kind of making this up, but this is my own intuition, right? This is the way I'm envisioning it. We use the sun to dry things out and then separatio, or just that you purify everything down to its essence. You get your salt and your sulfur and your mercury, and they're divided up. And this is just some alchemical sort of free association that I'm doing. So I've been through the watery stage, and then I've been dried out by the sun. That reminds me of the sacred marriage in alchemy, or as what I've heard it called as conjunctio, or conjunction. It's the recombination. So now you've split everything up and looked at your constituent parts in their most purified forms, and now you start putting something new back together. So as you could imagine, if the alchemist is working with lead or prima materia and they're trying to transform it into gold, it would make sense that you take it through a whole process where you break everything down into their most pure essential forms and then start to reconstitute how you want it, right? Salt correlated with the body, mercury, the spirit, sulfur, the soul. So there's kind of a metaphor there. It's a linking together. It's a putting the parts back together. So that's what I'm kind of thinking about here as I'm trying to come up with topic for the day. Topic for the day. This is off course because the moon in Leo, I don't even think that correlates too much with what I'm talking about. And because my mind is so scattered right now, I think we'll just take this book, Astrology, Carol Taylor, and let's look up the moon and see what it says when it's in Leo. You seek an active flow of praise and love from others. You may be naturally connected to your own creative talents or seek to nurture these in others. So that's not even close to, that's not even related to what I'm talking about, but I've been inspired by the signs and by the planets, and that's okay. I'm going to allow my own interpretation to take the reins here. I think that's a good thing. And the fact that I'm 50% of the way through the tarot card deck after today, I think I've kind of earned that privilege to be able to just take inspiration and say, let's go with this. We're on a series here of alchemical operations. Let's try to do the recombining of opposites, holding the tension of opposites, what Jung would call the transcendent function. When you hold two opposites together, new possibilities emerge. Something is transcended. It takes you into another level of consciousness. So holding the unconscious and the conscious, allowing them both to have their say, is a dialectic. It allows for new possibilities. It's the creative. It's the heaven and the earth in the I Ching, right? The creative, the receptive, the manifestation. And so by holding the opposites, the tension of the opposites, a channel is formed between the conscious and the unconscious, but also something bigger is kind of constellated or allowed to start beginning to be manifested, which is the self, the whole, the greater self, which can be a little wounding to the ego at first, from my understanding. You feel like your ego's in control day in and day out. You're using your waking conscious mind that's rational. Suddenly you have this transcendent experience where, hey, I'm bigger, I'm more whole, and I'm larger than I thought I was. I'm more expansive, I'm more complete. It's a mystical experience to realize the total self. So with the conjunction that I'm looking at here today, at our halfway point, depending on how you measure this, according to time, we're halfway. But we don't have 3 lines yet. We're still building our second line of our hexagram. So in a way, we're halfway. And one way of looking at it, we're halfway through this journey. We're about halfway through the tarot cards. Another way of looking at it is we only have created one line on our hexagram, so we're not even close to halfway. So here's what I'm going to try to journal about and answer with the cards today. Card 1, how to cultivate a healthy or mature feminine part of my personality. Card 2, same thing except for masculine. Card 3, how to hold the tension of opposites. I'm looking for advice. I'm looking to find the missing pieces that'll help me do these things more effectively. What am I missing? Where's the imbalances? So I'm trying to do some reconstituting here. I'm thinking about the masculine and the feminine, the sun and the moon. I'm doing this mostly inspired by alchemy, but thanks to the moon in Leo, okay? And then the last card is going to be about being able to keep this in mind for long enough that it actually is effective for me. You know, I need to be able to stick with this. This is actually very important to me. I don't know if I'm expressing that, but I'm actually really interested in this. And I'm kind of amazed that this alchemical process is happening. You know, the first name I wanted to give this was the alchemies. And now I'm amazed by the alchemy. Maybe that was the right name, the alchemies. Because I did see that there's something alchemical about this, and there's something that reminds me of some of what Jung talked about with gnosis as well, with the Gnostics. But that's a whole nother topic for another day. I think we should go ahead and draw these cards. I think I'm a little nervous. Like, how weird are these cards going to be to explain? Feminine first, okay? I have no idea if I'm going to be able to interpret this. I believe that card is related to Venus in some way. I should look that up. But I'm not going to do that right now. It's just not... It's not fresh in my mind right now, but I think the Nine of Pentacles is related to Venus. The garden and the bird. Wow. I love gardening. I love the show Gardener's World. And where I'm living in South Texas, it's kind of hard to garden here. It's so hot. The seasons are weird. So I'm a little discouraged with that. But when I do spend time in the garden, it really is centering and grounding for me. Maybe this is kind of an anima figure for me here. Enjoying this beauty. I don't know. I mean, once again, just the image alone is just so nice that I don't even hardly want to put words to it right now. And just looking at it is very pleasant. Let's see about the masculine. The Page of Swords. Well, some people might say that's a princess. I don't usually look at it that way. I think it's androgynous and people could see it how they want. I usually see a young man who's kind of like a scout. And I find that interesting because... Hold on. Can you see that? It doesn't fit me anymore. Yeah. When I was in the army, I got me a cavalry scout Stetson. story for another day, but I have been part of a scout unit. You know, some people look at it, some people look at this card as something that's immature and underdeveloped. Maybe the thinking is just more about curiosity. It's the earth of air. But I look at it as, look at all that sky. I mean, here with the 9 of Pentacles, very earthy. And over here, the Page of Swords, I'm kind of feeling a lot of heaven. And then this connection, right? Heaven to earth. But I also feel that there's a fresh, creative, open energy to it. It's more about the energy of the card. Being young and exploring, being that scout, having that scout's mind where I'm going to go out and explore. So why is that important? Well, I can become quite a crotchety grouch, you know, where I don't really want to do too much. I'm like, I want to be home. I don't want to be around big crowds. I think that my masculine side would be balanced better if it had a little more. And I haven't always been like that, you know. I wasn't always. So there's a lot of freedom in the Page of Swords and curiosity. And there's some kind of big creative, imaginative youthfulness to it that I like. I'm feeling a lot of heaven and earth, I Ching energy from these two cards. The connecting force, the recombining, where you're really seeing these quite different energies coming together. If nothing else, it's really giving me that image of two real polar different sorts of things going on. All right, so this is how to hold the tension. Advice on what I need to keep in mind. Let's see what we got here. I'm not reading reversals. The 4 of Swords. Definitely a card I need to study more. But the 4 is a solid state. He's laying on a... He's laying very comfortably, almost to the point where he looks like he's not alive anymore. He's in a solid foundation, getting plenty of rest. And the swords are put away, all of them. The 4 is a nice, solid foundation to lay down and rest. It's almost advice telling me that I need to keep building that out, this polarity. I need another dimension. I need to make sure that I'm taking time to enjoy and rest and relax. Recreation. Right? Take those days off. Did I not just say, I think tomorrow I'll take a day off. It'll be my midway point. Yeah, I'm going to create a little video that will say what I've been doing, but I think I need a day for integration. And that might be what it's about. I need time for integration. When someone's speaking to me, rather than being reactive towards them, I need to step back and process. When I'm feeling a really strong emotion in some way, I need to step back and process that for a little while and understand what it is. If I'm feeling down and sad and like the world is just blue, I need to go take some time in the garden and work through things. I gotta schedule this into my life more. And with that, hopefully some other options start becoming available to me. Overall, this is making a lot of sense. Putting it into words, not so easy. I appreciate you being here. Tomorrow I'm going to try to do some review of what has happened up to this point. Today I chose the moon, so we have more yin energy. Hopefully. So, bottom left-hand corner. That's going to wrap it up for today. Position 13 or day 13 is in the books. And take care.